Okay, open time for public expression. All right, don't have anybody tonight who wants to join us. All righty. Okay, reading and correspondence file. Someday when we get together again, we'll get to pass that wonderful binder around the room. But right now, we've at least been able to send it out to you. And we hope to be able to continue to do that in the future. So again, anybody that has anything they want to contribute, you're welcome to. The more we have, the better. All right. Old business. So you may remember at the last meeting or two, we've had conversations about the InOut Burger program that Barbara brought to us. And there was a lot of conversation about that, pros and cons, and whether we should move ahead with it. And the last action we had was to get a small committee of people together to talk about that program and possibly other incentive programs that the library might put in place. So the committee that met, and I'm sorry if I don't remember the date, but it was Chantel, Ilana, Ramona, Nick, Barbara, and myself. We all met up in person, which was wonderful, by the way, in the offices up there. And we talked about that program. We talked about other opportunities. How should we proceed forward with these kinds of incentive programs? And we talked a lot about things that are already in place and how do we build upon them. And not that the InOut program isn't a good idea, but maybe we need to look at some of the things we already have and how do we expand, and then move on and continue to look for community partnerships. But maybe at this point in time, the InOut Burger one isn't quite the right event. And as it turns out, with the InOut mask mandate, which you probably read about, maybe the stars were in alignment on that one, because we would have hated to have made a commitment and then run into that issue. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Ramona to talk a little bit more about the summer program that's in place and some plans that we might roll out for the future.
Sure. Thanks, Sue. And good afternoon to all the commissioners. Glad to be here and see you all. I'm going to share my screen. And can everyone see?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Perfect. So this is a short and sweet presentation, just an update from the summer program working group, which included the folks that Sue mentioned from the commissioners as well as library administration.
Hey,
So
can I ask a question?
Please, Nick.
Yeah. How come this isn't called incentive program it's called summer program? Is there a reason for that?
Lana, would you like me to answer? I'm sorry, I can't see.
Oh, sure.
See anyone.
If you can hear me, we changed it because as we discussed in our working group, this is connected to our summer program. So it'll build upon what we're already providing to the kids and family. Yeah.
Big picture. Got it. Thank you. That answered it well.
Thanks, Lana. Okay, so the recommendation that we all agreed on was that we want to meet children and families where they are. The goals that we have, which include the library's goals and the bigger picture goals as brought forward by the library commissioners, are that we want to encourage reading 20 minutes a day. Why 20 minutes? That's because research has shown that 20 minutes a day really does help prevent summer slide, which also means, preventing kids from losing the gains that they make in reading during the school year when they're out of school during the summer. Preventing summer slide, which I noted there, that's what that is. And then partnership with local businesses. That was an issue that was raised with a lot of importance from the commissioners, and appreciate their perspective from the community in bringing that forward. So this would be an opportunity to partner with local businesses in advance of a public relations push for Measure A. So those are the goals. Our next steps is that the idea, we did not get to discuss this last month, and the Children's Services team is having a special meeting in November that's committed to summer as a whole. So we will discuss this as one aspect of that. They're meeting next Wednesday. So we'll have a report out that we can share at the next commission meeting. And for their input and feedback, they are the ones who are closest to, the families who come into the libraries now, and they really do design our summer program. So that's something that has been done historically. So that is the group who will, hear this idea and provide input and feedback for the path forward. I did note here as the next steps that the InOut Burger partnership will be reviewed in the future, depending on the success of the summer partnership with local businesses. I will stop sharing my screen and can answer any questions or turn it back to you, Sue.
Yeah, explain to me again how long this process is going to take. The next 1, 2, 3 steps, if you can.
Yeah, so the next step is November 17th is when Children's Services team meets. So they will meet and this idea will be presented and shared with them for their feedback and input. After that, we can bring back their recommendations to the commission. But this part of the process is a little new for me. So others who know better can step in and chime in. But as far as the Children's Services summer planning, that is a process that takes months. And then it launches in June, usually around the second week of June, which is when school ends and summer starts. And that's when our summer program in its entirety runs through the end of summer, which is usually in August.
And when do you anticipate, and who will be going to various local merchants? And we did talk about a coupon, some kind of a coupon thing. I don't remember all the details of that, but there was a really great idea that involved a number of different local merchants. So when would that start? I mean, if it's approved, it takes a while to get all this organized.
It does. And, we did discuss that at the meeting was that, we're behind schedule for planning summer because it usually, we start planning in August when it ends and plan all the way up to June. So as far as engaging business partners, I'm going to turn to Lana as far as that process and what that would look like. But if it is adopted and included, then sooner than later is when the engagement needs to start, because we also need to make sure that the partners are willing to commit to 7,000 children, which is the number that we usually have for the summer program. So we'll be good. It is important to start sooner than later.
And I think to add to the commissioners, some information for the commissioners. So if there are businesses in your community that you think that the library should partner with, why don't you send us an email, meet your Edna, an email. And then also if you're willing to kind of do some outreach with us in that regard, because I know that was Nick, you are a salesperson at heart, and will connect well with the community. So we will move forward with, our heavy logistics on our end, but in terms of commissioners, if you see a business or think it would be a good match for what Rona described, send us an email, as well as if you're willing to kind of do the walk along the streets and hit the pavement and ask businesses for that partnership piece.
I think it'll be, just to all the commissioners, it is going to be a lot of fun. I think we've got a good thing to sell.
Yeah.
And so I think you can be very excited and happy, in my humble opinion, about approaching these people, period. So anyway.
I think, go ahead. Somebody was going to, yeah.
May I ask a question, please?
Sure, Mark.
Because I was waiting to be let into the meeting, I didn't hear the beginning of what you said, Sue, about that. I guess you were talking about the InOut program. So what was the bottom line? It's not happening now.
It's not going to happen now. I think we felt that one just really wasn't quite appropriate for what our goals are right now. We have some geographical challenges with that one. And of course, now we've had this news with the fact that, they've got this mask mandate issue, which definitely goes against everything that we stand for. And we felt that the best thing to do was to kind of go back to the summer reading program and really start with that as a solid foundation and then move forward with other opportunities as they come along. I think what I like about the summer program is it's based on data. That we already know that 20 minutes of reading a day, what it does to help summer slide. And I think that's super important for the goals that we're trying to achieve here, is making sure that that's one of the first things we do, that we shore that up and make sure that happens. That's just my opinion anyway. I think we should do. But that doesn't mean that if the InOut Burger one isn't the right one, that there aren't other opportunities out there, as Nick was just talking about. And it's incumbent on all of us. If you think of something or identify an opportunity, bring it forward and let's explore it.
Also, don't remember, and I mentioned this at the meeting, and I know all the staff grabbed a hold of it. This is a great PR venture for Measure A, okay? Because you're
Absolutely.
going to all local merchants. This is going to get in the IJ about the incentive program. And it's going to affect a lot of parents. And so it's just a big deal, I think, from a PR point of view. So it needs to be timed perfectly.
Absolutely. Have we heard any more about the laundromat program, if that's going to come back again?
Oh, yeah.
I can chime in if that's okay.
Yes, please.
So we are in communication with the laundromat owner, and following his lead about when he wants to start. I think the last communication we had was maybe a month ago, and he was not at the point that he was ready to re-engage with the laundromat project, because he said he was still asking his patrons to wait outside. They
Okay.
bring their laundry in and they are still waiting outside, but we are still in communication, and we are, as soon as he's ready, our staff will be ready. And Stephanie, the new branch manager at Corte Madera, she's briefed on it and in communications with him as well. So as soon as he, gives us approval to resume, we will.
Great.
Which laundromat is that?
Oh,
There were
gosh.
two of There were
Yeah,
two of them,
two.
one in Fairfax, and I don't remember where the other one was. The same
My
owner.
wife,
I think the other one's right up the street from the Corte Madera Library
Mhm.
near Cafe
Right.
Verde.
Right.
Oh, okay.
my wife worked the one in San Anselmo across from Red Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and she really enjoyed that. But so I don't know if we're still talking to them or not.
I think, Nick, that those are owned by the same, I think it's the same owner, owns
Oh,
both the space
That
in San
doesn't surprise
Anselmo.
me.
Yeah. So,
Normally the
yeah.
case. They know the thing when they see it.
Yeah. So we'll definitely be excited to resume the laundromat project and grow that project as well as soon as the owners are ready to resume having the materials in their spaces.
Great. So Ramona, do you think you'll be able to come back to us in December with a little bit more then after your team meets in later November?
Absolutely.
Great.
Can I ask a question, Ramona?
Yeah. Yes.
I know that one of the items that you were going to be dealing with would be the Measure A outreach, public outreach coming up. So is there like a roadmap in place for that, how that's going to roll out, or is that still in process?
I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in my president's report. Okay.
Oh, all right.
If that's okay. I'll address that then.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
I think we've got a good start to this with, again, rolling out the summer reading program. And again, if anybody comes with ideas of community, people that you run across that want to be involved, please bring that idea back, because the more we can engage our community and create partnerships, I think would be terrific for everybody. So,
And Sue, if I could add one more thing, I mean, the summer program is really, a key part of our educational equity efforts. So, the fact that we can gather the entire community and devote that to literacy, especially increasing children's literacy, is what we want to see in the IJ. I would love a story about that. We do that work every day, but to really have it featured and then have, the commission, library staff, our elected officials as one team and reinforcing that in our community, that would be great.
yeah, that'd be a great story. Absolutely. Anybody other questions or comments?
I have a question. What was the incentive for the InOut? Was it read 10 books, or for X amount of minutes you get a hamburger, or what? Just so I can get an understanding of what I can take to other vendors on, whatever their commitment in there would be.
It was read a certain number of books, I believe, and then you got a free burger. And you brought in I'd have to go back and look at all the details, but yes, it was definitely a reading requirement, and then you got a burger when you brought it in.
Okay.
Yeah, and
But I mean, that's just one example. You could design it in any number of ways, really.
And the parents could read to them, right?
mhm.
Or parents could read to them, correct.
Little ones, yeah.
And Ali, we're happy to, if those of you who are interested in doing that outreach, we're happy to give you like talking points and the structure of the program so that we can all be giving the businesses the same message.
Yeah, I'll go back and look at the specifics of the in and out. If you want me to send that to you, I can. I've got it in my file here. Just as an example of something that can be done.
Sure.
I would think that the shopping center I'm working with in Marin City, the Marin Gateway, they want to expand their community programs and support next year. So this might be something we could pitch to them as an ongoing project. So I don't know.
Absolutely, that's a great
Really?
idea. Yeah.
If you could give me the talking points, I'll run it by them because the two of the directors are going to be here this weekend for the event we're putting on, but that'd be good to kind of pitch this while they're here.
Mhm.
No kidding, John. And by the way, the directors of what?
Of the Garrity Group, that's the company that owns the shopping center.
Oh, the center, okay. And
Oh.
then they got a management company. That was obviously.
Right.
And eventually it's all about the merchants. So, but you know, it's good to kind of get the ownership approval and then the
Yeah.
management's approval and then go to the, and then it's set up to go to the merchants.
Well, yeah,
I
they would,
think
they would,
there's also,
well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say, I think it's great to, as you build those relationships, there've been a couple conversations about facilities partnerships with the mall. So these can be wonderful doors opened for follow-up at a different point.
Big time.
Okay.
It's a great face-to-face contact for the library.
Mhm.
The other
Like
thing
my-
I was going
yeah,
to say is they own
and-
3 other shopping centers in Marin.
Oh,
They own Strawberry. I
Ooh.
think they own one of the Corte Madera ones.
Oh.
So we could probably get it so it's a county-wide.
Wow.
My old company manages Shelter Bay, manages Strawberry. I did that center.
They do? Okay.
So yeah, Shelter Bay, Jones Lang LaSalle, and I know the manager really well. That's not gonna be a problem.
Okay, so maybe you and I could talk offline about it.
Oh, I'd love to, yeah.
Okay.
I think Nick would be the great consultant to navigate the shopping center. So
Mhm.
we appreciate that, Nick. You've been assigned that job.
I love it. I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
I gotta get out of the house and do something. Constructive.
And Sue,
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
you're sending out the details about the InOut program. I'd like to receive that too, just as a
Sure.
starting point.
Okay, I'll send it back out to everybody again. How about that?
Yeah,
And you'll have a
please
copy.
do.
Okay, great. Okay, all right. All right, so now we will move on to item number 8, which is new business, where we're going to be talking about the Adult Services Committee and the Novato branch reports. So I just wanted to make an announcement that Leslie Weber from Supervisor Arnold's office has joined us this evening. So welcome, Leslie. Glad you could join us. And now I'm going to turn it over to Janet, who is going to do this presentation. So it's all yours.
Thank you, Sue. Hi, everyone. Margaret, did you have a
Hi.
question? You have your hand up.
Before you start, may I offer one item of new business? Really
Yes.
quickly, it's a compliment to the Marin County Free Library. I was with my 2 grandchildren. They went to Miller Creek Middle School for their vaccinations on Saturday. And the county libraries was giving away free books at a table filled with books. And it was so fun for all the kids. After you got your vaccination, you step outside and look at a table full of books. And there were 2 librarians, one from Novato and one from Corte Madera, that were manning the table. It looks like Juana is nodding her head. She knows about this. It was great. Just a compliment to the library.
Terrific.
That's terrific.
It was.
That's the kind of outreach we need.
It was great.
I do want to take this moment to celebrate Ramona. This is her hard work and her partnership with First Five and Health and Human Services. And I'll have her talk about a little bit more about the partnership later, but this is truly an effort from the heart, and Ramona is the one leading this.
Yay, Ramona.
Hey, Ramona.
Yay, Ramona.
Woo!
Rock star.
All right.
Okay. All right, Janet, it's back to you.
Okay, back to me. I'm going to share my screen. I can do that. Start with my adult services.
Seeing it.
Hold on one second. Close that. Sorry, I have a bunch of screens open that I didn't know I had open.
Oh, well.
They sneak up.
Okay. Here we go.
I like your graphics.
Me too.
You know, now, here we go. Present. Here we go. All right. Yay, here we go.
Yay.
For those of you who don't know me, and for those of you who do, I'm Janet Doerge. I'm the branch manager at Novato Library. I'm also the chair of the Adult Services Committee for the MCFL system. So I want to tell you a little bit about what both of those entities have been up to for the last year. First, I'm going to present Adult Services. This guy, I thought he was like a librarian going, yay, Adult Services. That's my graphic. We have a mission, as all of the committees do in MCFL. The Adult Services Committee provides welcoming, equitable, and inclusive opportunities for adult self-development and independent learning, and fosters connections and community participation with special attention to demonstrated community needs, including digital literacy and aging. We also support professional development in the adult services area for library staff. It's kind of a mouthful, but we wanted to get that all in there to make sure we covered our bases. And we kind of do have a focus on digital literacy and aging, because we know that Marin is an aging population. So a lot of our programs and services do keep an eye out for that. The Adult Services Committee consists of librarians and other staff around the system. So we have a Novato contingent, a Corte Madera contingent, a couple of staff from Fairfax Civic Center. West Marin is represented, and our technical services staff also. And Chantel is our administrative liaison. We're lucky to have her in attendance, and she can help steer things for us. So what do we do? How do we meet those lofty goals that we have? We meet them in several ways. One is through programs. Programs are the way that we expand our role as a community and cultural center. We introduce library resources and materials to attendees. We provide entertainment and fun, as well as learning opportunities. And the programs that we do raise visibility for the library. When you're talking about the InOut incentive, you know, it's all about giving the library attention. And in doing programs, we attract new library patrons. They may not be library users, but they hear we've got a good program going, and that brings them to us. The services we provide, the Talk with the Librarian line is defunct. As of September of this year, we dismantled the line. We looked at ways of expanding that and keeping it within the branches, and it just wasn't technologically possible. But it was a great service during the pandemic, and we got a lot of great feedback about that. And now patrons are calling the library branches to have those questions answered. We also do Library Beyond Walls, provided to those people who can't leave their homes. Personalized picks is something that we started during the pandemic. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. We do interlibrary loan with libraries around the country. We offer our patrons a service through our tech services, suggest a purchase, so people can create our collection. And we do blog posts, which are online information posts to focus on some services or areas in the community that we want to focus on. And our BiblioCommons lists are book recommendations online on the catalog. The trainings, those are internal trainings. Adult Services wants to keep all of our staff up to date on issues that are affecting them on the front lines. One of the trainings we offered earlier this year was bystander training. That was, what do you do when you see something that's untoward happening to a patron in front of you? And then also bias situation responses. We started an online interactive staff support for that. 2021, we had a lot of programs. Some of the highlights: Food for the Soul. Librarians around the county came together to celebrate Black History Month. The online All Things Apple is not surprisingly one of our most popular online programs that we've started offering during the pandemic and are still offering now. We have upwards of 200 people attending this on a weekly basis. So people are really interested in how to use their Apple products. And then something that's ongoing right now is our Building Bridges Beyond Bias, 4-part series, again, in partnership with Age Forward Marin. And it's one of those important partnership programs that we've put on. Those partnerships are kind of what lead to a lot of our successes with our adult programs. Marin Parks is always educational. The legal aid of Marin provides a lot of really important things, especially during the pandemic with regards to housing and medical issues. Legal aid of Marin has presented some things through the library to keep our patrons enlightened. Here's an example of the wide range of programs that the adult services librarians will put on. Health and wellness, gardening, cooking, chair yoga, poetry readings. And the beautiful thing was that all of these things were able to transfer to be online programs. Adult Services Committee is always focusing on equity, diversity, and inclusion. And these are some examples of some of the things, some of the programs. There's that housing protections during COVID-19, the Black History programs. We had a recent program on We Walk History. So who attends these programs? The interesting thing is, so attendance at our live events prior to the pandemic, we'd have 5 to 67 people in attendance. And now that we've broadened to become an online center, people from anywhere are joining in. Maybe these are people who used to live in Marin and are still somehow connected to Marin. They're tuning in, and our online attendance we've had between 5 and 235 people attending, which is it's a big leap. And I think as we go forward, looking at how adult services can plan programs, we want to do kind of a hybrid of in-person, serve our local communities, but also, you know, look about having some online programs to bring more attention from all over. So some of those services I talked about, personalized picks is something we came up with that kind of connects. The children's had been doing book bundles during the pandemic. And that was for children to pick materials that the librarians and staff would bag for them at curbside. And we felt that the adults were kind of missing out on that. So we came up with personalized picks, which allows patrons to either fill out a form or talk to a librarian on the phone and let us know, what do you like reading? And we'll put together a personalized group of books that you can pick up. Either, you know, you can just get a list, or we'll put those on hold for you. I mentioned earlier the blog posts. These are a way to highlight our collections and programs. Librarians around the county are creating blog posts. Those got a lot of attention during the pandemic. Top post was enjoying the library from home last year. And I think once the building shut down, people became much more aware of our online services. So if there was any kind of positive to the pandemic, it was that people realized the library was still there for them, even though they couldn't come into our building. So along with our curbside services, they were following our blog posts and learning about what they could do from home. And you can see mushroom season is here, was also another highly viewed one. Who knew mushrooms were so popular? This is through our tech services department, but patrons can always request materials. We have a patron forward collection, and librarians are always steering folks to this page online where they can suggest a title. I mentioned the staff training. There's the bystander intervention training. This was earlier this year in February. This taught hands-on skills, how to de-escalate an incident of bias that you're witness to. And the library is, you know, we see things happen every day. We're frontline to what's going on in the world. So this was very useful training for staff. And then the adult services, we started in our meetings talking about when we personally had incidences where we watched incidents of bias, or we had patrons say to us something, statements of bias. And so we started kind of a online place where people could exchange information about how did you deal with it? How did you deal with it when someone said something sexist to you or another patron or something racist? So this is an ongoing development to you know, get staff solid in being able to respond to these kinds of situations. So that's it. Let me know if you have any questions.
I sent you one.
Oh, you did? It's in the chat?
Yeah.
Right, let's see.
What's the range of the, you know, when you say adults, what's the age range?
It's huge. We're talking anyone from 18 to 118. So it's a large, yeah, it's a large range. And that's why it was so hard to figure out our mission, because it's a large range. And that's why I say we do try to focus on, I think a large number of older adults do use the library. And so that's our focus. I am very curious about you could call in, talk to the librarian, get ideas about books to read. I mean, and so does each library, I mean, libraries, is there somebody who really knows mysteries and science fiction? I mean, how's that work? What you're talking about is called Reader's Advisory, and often, yeah, sometimes that someone has an expertise in it. We also have some online tools and some products that we can use. Those personalized picks, we have a team of librarians doing it together. So if someone requests something that isn't in the field of, you know, expertise by the person that took the request, there's a group of people who will help answer that question. But it's a tough one. What do you like reading? I mean, reading is a very personalized thing. And so it takes some digging to get at. To
the sweet spot of the person that's asking.
Yeah. Usually we'll ask, well, what's the last best book you ever read? Or what book do you love? And that gives us kind of a jumping off point.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good way to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a good way to start.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I will exit out of this if I can and get to my Novato Library presentation.
I do have one more question.
Sure.
The page on confronting people that, you know, use sexist or biased comments or what have you. I got about halfway through it. I think there was examples of how to respond. Is that true in there?
Yes, there are. It'll be on your in the, you know, the notes.
What notes? I want to see that page.
When you get a copy of the packet next time, right, Edna?
Okay, so it'll be in the next meeting's notes.
Minutes.
That's a good thing to read.
Yeah. Having ready responses. Yeah.
Well, and it's you know, it's sometimes a lot about what we talk about is how much do you want to engage, because sometimes things can possibly escalate and you don't, you know, you're just trying to help people in the library and you don't really have the time or, you know, ability to change someone's mind on.
Oh yeah, you're not going to change their mind. You got to diffuse it first of all, I think. But anyway, we at the museum, San Francisco Fine Arts Museum, we're docents. we've gone through months and months every week of Zoom training on this. It was, it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
And they've
Yeah.
changed all the footnotes, all the case notes now at the library. And like I was told, somebody told me the other day that the painting of George Washington by Stewart, I believe, now says something about, I don't know whether it mentioned he had slaves or something, but it wasn't the flattering George Washington we always remember. Okay, so it's getting pretty interesting out there.
It is getting interesting. One thing we've learned to say when we have a patron in front of us and they start to tell us more than we want to know, we kind of bring them back to, what is your library question? What do you need to know from me about the library? And it brings most people back. You have to sometimes say it a couple times, but we're getting good at it. We're getting much better at it. So, all right, here comes Novato Library. And I chose this theme of the skeletons because, we've just celebrated Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. So Novato Library, who are we? This is our dream team here. This is what we call in the library world our go team. These are our supervisors. This group of 4 of us have we're making all the decisions. We're the leadership group in Novato Library. I am very dependent on Laura, Amanda, and Daniel to get things done in Novato Library. So I wanted to make sure they became visible to you so you know who they are. They got us through 2021 masterfully. Some of the other staff, we have some library assistant 2s, which is also a supervisory level position. We have Sylvia Molina, Ann Mahoney, Rachel Stanton, and Alfredo Lametta. Next, Laura Beam. She's our newest hire. She's also a library assistant 2 in our children's department. The other 2 librarians on staff are Tom McGibney. He's in our adult services. He's part of the adult services committee. And Adrian Graham is in the children's department. Miriam Lametta is a library assistant 1. And then we have library branch aides. We always tell this group that they have the most important job in the library because they put the books back on the shelf. They do majority of our check-ins and they put the books on the shelf. I think Miranda would be very unhappy about the picture that I put up here of her. This is a picture of her when she was a teenager. She was a library user years ago, and now she works for us as a library branch aide. And she has the distinction of having started on the day of the pandemic. First day was last year in March. We said, that's it, go home, see you, see you in 3 months. So 2021, it was kind of a mishmash of a lot of new things. We were dealt a lot of cards we had never been dealt before. We had an ongoing and changing pandemic with, spikes and things are good, things are not good. We're reopening, we're not reopening. So we had to pay attention to all of that. This year in Novato, we had a fire suppression system installed while we were shut down. I guess that was good timing because we didn't have to close the library to have it installed. But we had all this construction happening while we're running around trying to do curbside services. So that was always interesting. And they're testing alarms and things are going off. This summer, we did 3 modes of service in 3 months. So we were doing curbside services. Then we changed to Library Express, which was kind of half and half curbside services, and then we opened a few days a week to kind of get back into being open. And then shortly after that, we opened pretty much full service hours. So we quickly adjusted, again, rely on that Novato team that I introduced you to. We did a lot of online meetings, and then we slowly started moving back into meeting in person. We've had a lot of virtual programs. We've slightly started to go back into having programs in person. We had to keep up with the rapidly changing mask mandates. Now, if the numbers change in Marin, masks come off, and then if they go back, up, you got to put the mask back on. And so kind of getting patrons to adjust to that it's a challenge. And then another challenge was Lee Gerner Park, which I'm sure you have read about Lee Gerner Park in the newspaper. There's a homeless encampment there. And I think what people don't realize is that Novato Library is also part of Lee Gerner Park. So that has been something we dealt with in 2021.
Wow.
That was new for us. Of course, we always have the old standbys. Story time continued, whether online or in person. This picture here is, we had an outdoor story time in conjunction with First Five, Marin. Thank you, Ramona. So we had Allie from the Learning Bus come, and we gave away backpacks to the kids, and it was just a full crowd. You know, we're used to having really big crowds at our story times in Novato, upwards of 100 people. So it was a big adjustment to start doing virtual story times when it's a person alone with their computer. But we did it. We kept our book clubs going during the pandemic. We have 2 virtual mystery clubs and a general fiction club that kept going. People kept attending those. We also have our conversation clubs. We offer both Spanish and English speaking clubs. Those were attended on Zoom through the pandemic. And then they started meeting in our atrium outside. And just the last couple weeks, they've started meeting again in our meeting room. So they're very happy since it's getting cold out. They're happy to be inside. So the children's room, I have to say, is the source of all joy in our library. When we're struggling with things or struggling with some adult patrons, the children's room and the children are always the light of our days. And when we were closed during the pandemic, the children's room started going through some changes. We wanted to change some shelving around so that had better sight lines to the back of the room. We changed the position of the desk. So you see, it's kind of an open space right now, that picture. And it used to be full of shelves. And I think patrons thought we did it to kind of, you know, clear the room. It's a pandemic, you have to be 6 feet apart. And I think our patrons like it. But what's coming are new lower mobile shelving. So we can kind of spread things out, keep those clear sight lines. We hope to get a new carpet in the future. When we had the fire suppression system in there, you can see some little smudges and things. There were some remnants of that. And then we hope we have a big blank wall space. We hope to commission a mural for the space to make it more inviting and to reflect the kids and families of the community. So we're really looking forward to that. And the kids' room has kept up programming through sending kits home for summer. And we had some virtual craft programs. So again, ongoing source of joy. Here's some statistics, bunch of numbers. I know it's a lot to take in. And I wanted to highlight that our holds, which is the upper left, people are still placing holds. They placed holds all through the pandemic. They actually, many more outgoing holds in 2020 than there were in 2019. And during 2021, we have more holds than we had in the previous year. So people really like that, and it keeps us very busy. Earlier this year, Lana had suggested that we separate our children's room circulation from our adult circulation, and we had never done that before. Thank you, Lana. It's really interesting to look at. Our children's room is unlike some of the other branches in that we have a full operating children's desk. You can check out items there. We have self-check in the children's room. So it's just kind of interesting to look at some numbers since Lana asked us to separate those out. Our children's checkouts are a big chunk of what we do. And those book bundles that I mentioned earlier, we're still doing those. Since 2020, we've done 453 of those. which means 4,530 books have been packed up in a little sack for kids who don't want to come to the library and pick their own. This last square on the bottom right shows that unfortunately our circulation is down. I think that's true across the system. We definitely have not seen our full patrons come back yet. We're at 57%. And we don't know if that has to do with just people are afraid to come in during the pandemic. We don't know if it has anything to do with the homeless encampment, but we're hoping that that doesn't stay so low. We're used to being very busy and very active and not exactly at that high busy point yet.
How did this relate to when you were people were able to pick up outside and couldn't come in? Circulate is it similar? In other words,
well, the holds are what people would place. So that's the 2020 holds.
Yeah,
it was pretty strong, pretty strong. We're doing less in 2021 for outgoing holds.
And could I jump in, Janet?
Yes, please.
I could share for Novato and system-wide, the overall circulation has increased from what it was during curbside.
oh,
So I think that that's important to note, because it's like there's lots of data points. So, so the overall circulation has increased since the library buildings opened, and we, we're no longer doing curbside. But I think depending on which branch, and today we're talking about Novato, so Janet can speak to that. Some of them have seen the, patrons just got into practice of placing holds, and so now the hold shelf is still just as packed as it was during curbside. Some we've seen that decrease, and the community shifting to picking up their materials in person, but really it is different depending on which branch you're looking at.
Yeah, thank you, Raymond. It's interesting to look at. It's just interesting to note just truly how busy we were during a pandemic. And I'm glad to hear that circulation is up. People are coming back. So some of the challenges, which I kind of have made reference to already, the changing mask mandates and just the ongoing mask mandate that's right now in the library. You still have to wear a mask, even though it has eased up in other businesses in Marin. So that's kind of a daily struggle for us. Asking, most people are compliant, but there are a few people who do not want to wear a mask. And we've been the target of a woman who thinks that we're working against her rights, and so we've had to kind of deal with that. It's a challenge. And this week I'm on vacation this week, but I see we've had a couple challenges of people not wanting to wear their mask. So it's a struggle. And I mentioned, that we're on the front lines of the community, so people feel like they can tell us anything. And with the political climate being what it is, people often want to engage staff at the desk in conversations about how do you feel about this, or how do you feel about that? And staff are getting much better at saying, I can't, and I'm here to offer you library services. What can I do for you? Just to deflect that whole conversation, because we can't enter into those kind of conversations. And then Lee Gerner Park, Camp Compassion, has been there since around the beginning of the pandemic. And once the pandemic was in full swing, it became a full homeless encampment. And with COVID rules, they were protected. Are you all familiar with the Martin versus Boise ruling of the Ninth Circuit Court?
No.
Martin versus Boise. This was pre-pandemic, I believe. It said that it was lawful for people to sleep on public land, and that they could not be arrested or moved for sleeping on public land. This was for people who had no alternatives. They could not be asked to move or
What's the
arrested.
definition of public land? Local public, state public, national public, or all of them?
I don't know. Good question. Anyone else know that? Lana or Ramona?
I think this has been one of the complicated issues with this situation. So it's not something that we can answer in this commission meeting or presentation right now as it is. But as Janet said earlier, there is a lot of information about the camp. It's been going on for a number of years. There's been some positive movement lately on it. There was just an article published in the IJ today about money allocated from Novato City Council to support the residents, which is very good. So we're looking forward to the partnership between city and county in getting residents of the camp housed, because that's the ultimate goal, especially as we head into inclement weather. So it's been an ongoing, definite struggle for the community, for staff. But the Novato Library has really shined through the entire moment, and staff have as well. So I just wanted to say that.
What's
Thank you, Lana.
what's Novato's relationship, book-wise, with the Gerner Park?
Well, the folks living in Lee Gerner Park, we consider anyone in the community our patrons. And just like anyone else, they're welcome to use the library as long as they follow our code of conduct. And in general, we haven't had a problem in that sense in a large way. I think we call them our friendly neighbors, because I think in general, people are all happy to have a community where they can be and feel safe.
Sure.
I think some of what we deal with is more our patrons responding to the fact that they're present there. So that, again, that goes back kind of to this political climate that staff has to field a lot of questions that they really can't answer. And
I was just wondering whether we're doing any outreach. We're not doing any outreach, right?
Well, let me go on to the next page, because the existence of the camp has brought some positive outcomes. We have formed partnerships with the Novato Police Response Team. The response team has been responsible for working with the encampment and helping them. And police have also partnered with Marin Health and Human Services, and as well as city and county services that provide for the homeless. And I've been attending their meetings every Tuesday morning. So we have formed kind of a coalition to kind of just stay on top of what's happening, what's changing, who's been housed, who still needs to be housed. So it has opened up a nice partnership of people who are working on behalf of this group of people to get them housed and get them the services that they need. It's also helped us as a staff to be very clear about what our policy and procedures are. Sometimes when something happens, you're not sure how to respond. And in these situations that we've had to face, staff safety has been first. We've been really clear about what our emergency plans are and what the mask mandate is and what we can say to people, which has in turn built up a resilience in the staff. Staff is now much better prepared for situations to stand firm and tall and say, I'm here for library services. If you have other questions, please go elsewhere. We have some handy phone numbers that we have for people to call if they have questions about things that are outside of our realm. So I think it's improved our library services because we know who to turn to and how to do it now. And I'd say it's also fostered a lot of compassion in our staff, both in standing up for ourselves and in serving those who need our services, as well as standing up for the underdog. I think it's brought us to a good library place in dealing with all these non-library things. So we're better off for that. And of course, the bonus. Every day we see this in the library, these sweet children who come in, and we have a little box with kids pull out little paper fortune cookies. And sometimes it just says, gives them a wish, or it tells them, gives them a little riddle or something, or a joke. But sometimes they win prizes. And this young man won a prize that makes our visits, our daily work in the library worth it. And I'll just end with, we did a display on the children's stage for Dia de los Muertos. This is honoring the dead people who have passed before us, and there are treats out for them. We have pictures of our loved ones who have passed. There are books on Dios de los Muertos, and it's just been a positive thing. And we invited patrons to add their family members as well. So happy November, everyone. That's it. Any questions?
No, that's good.
Excellent.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet, for 2 very informative presentations. This is a big topic to cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yes, those were both terrific, and we appreciate all the hard work up there.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Just wonderful. Does anybody else have any other questions before we move on? Well, again, a big round of applause, and thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So my president's report, I'm going to start out with some kind of sad news. Barbara Schoen has resigned from the commission. I know. My email back to her was say it ain't so. Anyway, she's moving on. I actually talked to her the other day. She has been elected the president of her homeowners association, so she's going to be super busy with that. And I'd like to read the letter that she sent to Lana and everybody at the board of supervisors, but she's just decided it's time to go on to greener other pastures, as they say. So her letter says, I am formally submitting my resignation from the Marin County Library Commission. I have served over 10 years between District 5 and District 3, which is beyond our bylaw statute of limitations. During that time, I've enjoyed being part of our commission that has tackled challenges and enriched our community in so many ways. I have witnessed the addition of a new library in South Novato, the purchase of the learning bus to bring programs to our rural community, and of course, our focus on diversity and inclusion to educate our employees and our community. Of course, we have faced budgetary challenges, but fortunately, we have passed Measure A twice during my tenure. It's been a great honor to serve on the commission, and I will miss participating in the mission going forward. Yes. What I hope is that for the commission and library staff will continue to consider opportunities with our local businesses and for partnerships that will bring us in new community members to our libraries. Any creative arrangement with the library and our business community will only serve as a great public relations testimonial when we tackle our next campaign for Measure A. So I hope she was a little bit of a fly on the wall in this meeting tonight, because we certainly were talking about that. She's going to be missed, and I'd just like to put it on record that Barbara has done such contributions to this commission that she's really going to be missed. So I'm sure she'd like to hear from each and every one of you if you feel like you want to reach out personally. So again, thank you to Barbara. Okay, so now I wanted to talk a little bit about Measure A. We have a committee in place that we're moving forward with activities gearing up for that. It will indeed be on the ballot in November of 2022, which is exactly a year away. So there's a lot of work to be done in the next year to get this up and going. So I met with, I guess, was Lana and Ginny Schultz, myself, Chantel, and the folks that are actually helping with the research and the polling. We met, I guess it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, to talk about the timeline moving forward. And that's all being set up now. One of the first things that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks is we're going to do kind of a pulse polling of the community to find out what are the sort of the important points about the library services during COVID and after COVID, so we can begin to really understand what really are the things that are hot points for people that we can use in the future for our messaging. And it's everything from the resources that are on site to the digital to the on-site help, the ages of people, what kind of things do you check out, what do you think about your local library, What more would you like to see improved? So again, it's just kind of an overall understanding of how people feel about the library. And then that information will be taken and will be part of another poll that will go out later. I think it's February, March, sometime in that time period, where we will actually be going out and sort of testing different, we're going to stay with the same amount for the parcel tax. Do we raise it a little bit? What's the duration? So there's a lot of things to think about before this thing actually gets on the ballot. So we've got a really good committee working forward on that. But mark November 2022 on your ballot. We're going to be busy, and we're going to be enlisting all of you to help us. So I will keep you posted as time goes on. Yes, Pam.
So Sue, how will the polling be conducted?
It's going to be online.
Online.
Did you get the parks poll that came out a while ago from the Parks Department? It was an online poll you got. There was
Sue, just to clarify for a moment. So we're going to do a general community survey, hitting the dates that Sue mentioned. That will be issued by the end of November and run through January. And then we'll do official polling. And we have a firm that will do the standard, select group of voters, see what resonates. And that will happen at the end of February. That will be phone, and I think a couple other ways to reach voters. So we'll have the political polling and then a general community survey. So the community survey will go out in our library newsletter. So I hope you guys can share that link to the survey far and wide so we get as many responses as possible. The survey and all messaging will be in English and Spanish as well to make sure that we are getting the needs of our entire community and what they want and have loved about the library.
The question is, does the library intend, and in the past, have they done this, hired a firm, public relations and or advertising or whatever type of firm that would assist professionally in advancing the cause of the Measure A for us?
I think Stu can speak to that, but we have worked with a political consultant in the past, and we will be working with one on this measure as well.
Right. And somebody helping with us with, any kind of digital media buy or anything like that. So yes, we will be working with somebody that's in the budget.
And that'll happen with the commission, the foundation, and the Friends as our voluntary group. So, really driving that work for the political activity.
What's that mean?
Meaning as staff, we're supporters, but we don't have library money to put into any of the polling or that sort of thing. It comes from other kinds of nonprofits.
Oh, okay, for sure. Yeah, and including the firm that's eventually hired?
Correct.
That would be hired by this group. That would be hired by you all as volunteers and the other volunteers.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's good to know. Thank you. Fair dinkum.
Okay. All right. Well, at this time now, I will turn it over to Lana for her director's report. The best you could do with your laryngitis there.
I know. I hope you can understand me.
Short's okay.
Yeah, you can
Okay,
give us the
really short
version. Yeah.
We updated the template for our commission report. I just want to thank Keith Way, our graphic designer for the library, who did a lot of work on that. So just want to recognize his efforts, and it's a beautiful report and I love it. Supervisor Berdoni also did a visit to the Corte Madera Library on this Tuesday, this week, right, Ramona? And so that was a great visit. He hadn't been there for a little while and saw the renovations and all the work that went into reopening the library, which was wonderful. And then, like I shared earlier, I wanted Ramona to share a little bit about the partnership with the children's vaccinations, because it is incredible work. And I am so proud that our library system is part of those efforts countywide. So I'm going to have her just share a bit about the partnership.
Great, thanks, Lana. So while I talk, I'm just going to share my screen so you can see what our table looks like at the vaccination sites. So about a month ago, we were connected by First Five Marin's executive director, Dr. Pega Faid, with this idea of, wouldn't it be lovely if the library was at the vaccination sites for children's ages 5 to 11? And so, we threw a team together, which included Diana Lopez from Marin City, Margaret Miles from Fairfax as providing leadership as senior librarians, and then staff at all levels to really, in the marketing team, of course, too, and Julie Magnus with her leadership there, we ordered books to give away. Our selectors did. We created a library prescription just to go with the vaccination medical theme, and which is really just an invitation for families to bring the prescription in and get a free library card from any Marin County library. So it's lovely, and we hope to roll these out in community clinics as well as an outreach tool to invite families to come in to the library. So I love this, and Keith did great graphic design on it, and it's bilingual in English and Spanish. So they get a prescription to the library, they get a free book. We purchase books that are from board books to picture books to early chapter to juvenile fiction. So across the spectrum of 5 to 11. And then we also provided a resource page, which on one side is a coloring sheet, and on the other side is a list of every library in Marin County, their address, their phone number, how to contact them, and how to visit. And so that's a two-sider. And then the other thing, staff is always our most valuable resource. So as you see on the screen, we have Ruth, who helps at many of our libraries. They were there to talk to families and to make them feel comfortable. In a nutshell, we have received nothing but positive responses from our partners at H&HS about the partnership. Apparently, the library table was one of the most exciting things at the vaccination site. And I just wanted to share, shout out to 2 public health staff who have they coordinated the whole vaccination effort, and that's Amber Davis and Kristen Siatavakin. They really led this and partnered with us, and were willing the entire time to have us there. And so we will be there each weekend. So last weekend, this weekend, and next weekend for all the first round shots. And Dr. Willis's update said that they vaccinated 2,367 children last weekend. We saw at our library table 1,200 people. And so that's, I think that's just amazing. And it shows how we can bring joy into the lives and partner, as you all have mentioned, with the community to just share the great resource of the library. In closing, I just wanted to share one piece of feedback that I got from a public health nurse, which was that, getting shots is never a pleasant thing for children, especially, and adults as well. But there were children who they were so nervous in line that they pulled the child out of the line for the vaccination, walked them over to the library table, and had them pick out a book first, which helped the child sort of calm and center and distract, themselves before going through. And I think that just shows the power of libraries, the power of books, and the power of us, our team, to bring joy during a time which, could be a little stressful for the young ones. So really thrilled about this opportunity and thankful to all the staff who supported it.
And Ramona, you didn't need any help at all from Big Bird.
Not this time, though. I would be willing to wear a Big Bird suit. Maybe we can get Bonnie to come back and be Pete the cat. I think she has that costume.
I'll ask her next week when I have lunch with her.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded a book either. I hate getting stuck in the arm 3 times.
Oh.
Well, it's terrific. That's just wonderful. And again, it does point out the partnership and all that. And I'm so happy you were there. And that actually kind of leads me to my announcement as we wrap up this meeting tonight is I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And I know it's been a tough couple of years, and we thought this year was going to get better, and my gosh, it's still an uphill climb, but I really do think we have a lot to be thankful for. We have first of all, to be thankful for each other, to be thankful for the beautiful place we live, to be thankful for this amazing library system that serves our county, and to be thankful for, everyone that's here that has pulled together during all of this. We are so fortunate to live in Marin County, where there are just so many good, warm-hearted people that have pulled together to get us through this pandemic. And being back here in North Carolina, where things aren't quite as good, it makes me really appreciate home even more. So I'm looking forward to getting on a late flight tomorrow night to come back to the Bay Area. I really am.
And don't forget to say we're very thankful for rain.
Yes, we are very thankful for rain and keep bringing it on. But I really want to wish all of you the happiest of Thanksgivings, and think about that when you sit down with your family and friends at the table this year, that we really, truly are blessed. So with that, I think we will adjourn the meeting. We have our next meeting on December the 8th. And sadly, I think we're going to have to do it on Zoom yet again. It would have been nice to have had a little holiday gathering, but maybe if everybody brings a Christmas cookie or something with them, we can wish each other happy holidays.
Kind of happy.
So anything else before we call it an evening?
Well, I
No,
would,
just thank you, Sue.
Go ahead.
John?
well, anyone who's out in this Saturday, come by Marin City and experience the VR and hip hop that the students created over the summer.
What's the best time?
12 to 3.
12 to 3?
12 to 3, okay.
12 to
That's
3.
great.
Thank
All
you.
right, good. Thanks.
All right. And Lana, we want you to feel better and get over that laryngitis for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we need to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn? And it's okay. It's what time is it there? I'm kind of confused. Yeah.
5:15.
But yeah, 5:15, yeah.
5:15, 8:15 Eastern time. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. And a second?
Second.
All right.
Hmm.
Loretta, thank you. All right. All in favor of that?
Hi.
Bye.
Okay, everybody. See you next month.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks for a good meeting.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Adios.